So Leigh, we're about to enter into the silliest season of the year. What is your opinion on the period of time coming up? Because we have a workshop that we're about to run on Monday the 25th of November. By the time this podcast comes out, it will probably be Monday or Tuesday, the 26th. But the workshop was called the January Jumpstart, and it was covering the 3 big mistakes that barbers make over Christmas and New Year. And there is 3 big mistakes that barbers make during Christmas and over the New Year that we see happen time and time again, year after year. And in today's episode, we're going to help you uncover what they are and provide you with some solutions on how to avoid that. So yeah, Leigh, what do you think is one of the major mistakes that people make throughout this time? Start with one and then we'll move.
I'm going to start with how I started the last podcast. We did a silly season. The silly thing about silly season, if anybody wants to go and revisit the first Christmas podcast we did last year.
Episode
very
12.
Fitting. And episode 12, that's right. And I skimmed over it just to have a little refresher of where my mindset was at last year. And it's very similar this year, but I'm going to start in the same place and say that it's only as silly as you want it to be. That's where it begins. I think we've gotten into this habit in the hair world of going bonkers over Christmas. And I've been thinking about this a lot this week. I've been thinking, where on earth did it come from? Where did it come from that we just went mad over Christmas to get everybody in and everybody's haircut? And obviously people are celebrating a family time and it's a mark on the calendar. I get it. And everybody wants to look their best for whatever. But I think it must have been an old thing. Like before, I feel like it was an opportunistic thing. Like before people really knew what they were doing with marketing. And I'm talking maybe this could be even like a 50-year-old thing. You know, before people knew how to market, all this kind of stuff, they probably just saw it as opportunistic and thought, right, let's go nuts here and make a ton of money. And then we can just chill for a bit. And if the rest of the year isn't, or the rest of a few months coming aren't too busy, then I guess it's okay. So that's where I begin. It's only as silly as you want it to be. And in 2024, it doesn't have to be that silly. But it's up to you. That's a subjective word again. So that's where I like to begin with it. And you can make it as chaotic or as little chaotic as you want. I think the big idea here is, are you consciously choosing the chaos or not? Because if you are, have at it. Like, go for it. If you're choosing it and you know you could do it, fantastic. But also know that it can be done another way. And the reason I say that is because I said it on the last podcast, I ended up getting to a point in my career where every week was like Christmas week. Every month was like December. Because I learned to utilize the pipeline. So I think that's a great place to begin on that side of things, is how to squeeze the juice out of a moment where you're about to see, or could see, depending on how you do it, the biggest influx of clients that you might see in a month or year if you're not utilizing the pipeline. And I think that's where we'll go with this conversation. So I think that's a good place to start. What's the big thing that kind of sticks out for you before we dig into some more tactical stuff?
Yeah, one of the biggest things for me is, people start to switch their mindset over to 2025 too early. So it's almost as if all the brakes go on, everyone's tired by this time of year, and people start to already think about 2025 when we still have so much of 2024 to go. People might think that it's too late to start, ramping up for Christmas, or they might think that they're going to be too busy to work on the business throughout this period of time. So then they just wait until January. It's that whole like new year, new me thing, right? But if it's new year, new me, same business, you're going to get the same results, and it's probably going to take you 2, 3, potentially maybe even 4 months to fully kind of kick into gear for 2025. So the whole idea of the January Jumpstart is to put the jump leads on your life, on your business, and get you thinking about 2025 already and setting the pipeline up for yourself and for your business already now. Because to be honest, the more and more I sit with it, even the name, the January Jumpstart, kind of assumes that this is only a January problem. But really the biggest problem in the pipeline is going to be in February or potentially even March. And I put an email out last night and I spoke about how your clients cheat on you over Christmas. And it's for a blindingly obvious reason, that you're too busy. And some of your best clients can slip through the cracks just because they're busy as well. And they'll end up going to somewhere else. They might go and see another barber. And who knows, they might even like that other barber more than they like you. Because some of your best clients and some of your regulars, ones who've been coming for a long time, if you're not upkeeping your standards, they might go somewhere else and get a better service. Who knows, right? That's just a theory. But calling off the hunt too early, or as Taki says, premature evacuation, calling off the hunt too early and not thinking about how this is going to play out over time is a big mistake in my books. I have this theory, and you've heard me say this before, but I've had this theory for a long time, and it's like, why not make every month like Christmas month? And that might scare a few people because they might not want to be that busy, but why make Christmas that busy? And one of the things that we said on last year's podcast, when I was just looking through some of the reels that we had from last year's silly season podcast, the same message rings through here. The exact same message. Be careful what you do during this time. I wouldn't recommend opening extra hours. I would keep people within the confinements of your appointment times and fill the pipeline for the future. It's up to them whether or not that they get their calendar straight. You can't hold people's hands, but there is some things that you can do now in advance to fill that pipeline and make sure that your clients are looked after. This is called nurture. And it's a big part of barbering that is kind of like forgotten, is the client nurture piece. Let your clients know in advance. Let them know now that they need appointments for Christmas and for the other side of Christmas. So yeah, look, it's definitely an opportunity to fill your pockets with some extra cash, but you also have to realize that that's also going to take away from your time and energy throughout this period with your family. And if that's a big value of yours, then what's more important? And that's something that you got to ask yourself. What's more important? Is it going to be doing extra haircuts at Christmas and filling my pockets with extra cash? Or is it going to be spending time with my family? Because at the end of the day, it's all going to come out in the wash. If you spread the pipeline out long enough and you fill your January, you might even fill some appointments into February. It's a really good opportunity to even put people on recurring bookings for the entire year for next year. So it's all going to come out in the wash. I would start expanding your time horizons to the entire year rather than just thinking about this month. How much money are we going to make as a business over the year? And using this time to create a supply and demand issue. When people come and work with us in AMP, one of the most important things that we do with them is try our best to create a problem in the business, to create constraint so that we can then spread the appointments out nicely, put predictability into their business, predictability into their future, and that inevitably leads to a price increase because people can't get bookings with you anymore. And this is the perfect time of year to create that swell. So sometimes you got to push back a little bit. Sometimes one of the best things that you can do in your business is to leave your clients go to somewhere else and let them go and get a haircut. Because when they come back to you, they're going to see the value in you even more so. So that's to wrap that up in a bow, that point, that's what I think is one of the biggest mistakes, is calling off the hunt too early, shutting down, thinking, you know what, like, I'm done with 2024 now. I'm going to just focus on 2025 and everything's going to be great in 2025, new year, new me. But when you stand there at the start of 2025 and you look up at the mountain that you've created for yourself by shutting down too early, it's going to be one hell of a hill to climb. When you can just get ahead of the game now. You can get ahead of 99% of barbers now. Be that 1%. Don't fall into the trap.
And it's like the thing we always say, isn't it? It's like the results in your business today aren't because of today or this week. They're because of a few months ago. And I would go as far as saying the results of your business in January aren't because of December or January. They're because of November. Like the month of November is already done. Like, what are you doing 6, 8, 12 weeks in advance to make sure that January is a killer month? Because here's the thing. If you have a slow January, that's going to upset the year. Like, so what we do a lot with our teams in A&P is like forecasting out their annual revenue. And if you're forecasting out, we want predictable months. If January's not a predictable month, we've got to cut that off. You got to cut that off, and that's going to mess your numbers up for the year. And it's not a good strategy to go and make it. Think, oh, that's all right. I'll go and make it up in December. It's like, really? Because how long is that going to last for? Again, what's your values? If you're designed for the chaos and you love the chaos, and like I said at the start, if you're choosing the chaos, by all means, go for it. But if you're not, and it's annoying you, and you think, what is this all about? Then there's a different way. So you can use, this is why I love this idea of like squeezing the juice out of December. What do we mean by that? Well, you can use it to start to create the pressure now. So in 2025, if you want to grow your business, if you want a price increase, if you want to create a perceived kind of what we call problem or pressure, for lack of a better word, then you can do that now. You could start to fill the January pipeline now. And if those bookings are full and people start to see that December's full, you can start to push that overflow into January. Look, if someone goes to someone else, so be it. That's okay. But I trust, and when I was in the shop, I used to trust that they loved my product enough that they would come back. And if they didn't, that's okay too. Now, that's not a great strategy for business. Obviously, you don't want to lose all your clients, but that doubles up with the point that you should always be trying to make sure that you are the authority in their mind. But then someone might say, oh, yeah, but what about my great guys? And what about my regulars and the people I've been looking after forever? It's like, if that's the case, do a better job with them then. Get them booked in June. That's what I used to do in the salon. Once June, July rocked over, it's like, hey, Christmas is coming. You know what that's like. Do you want to, should we like schedule those ahead? It's like
Christmas tree went up in the salon.
Yeah, Christmas tree went up. But like, if they're your people and they're like, oh, but what about my best clients? All right, do a good job with them then. Do a really good job with those people and nurture them and take care of them and make sure they get priority spots early.
Yeah.
Don't just make it like a free for all at Christmas. So there we go. So there we have it. We can swell the pipeline. We can use December really, really well to start the pressure building into next year. And then I think if you get January right, that will spill into Feb, and then you're going to get the rest of the year pretty good. But what I learned from being in the salon was that if you don't get January right, it's going to take till about March to level itself out again. And only then can you start to get predictability again from March, which is not a good idea because you're a quarter into the year already. You've basically just been flapping around for a quarter. And as Taki says, forgetting who you are and forgetting your name and wondering what on earth you're doing with your life, like, number one, because you're burnt from Christmas. Two, you're trying to recover. Number three, you're thinking, oh my God, is my business folding? Like, there's so many better ways to do it. And that can start now in December.
Yeah. And to touch on a point you said there, a lot of the time, the results that we get today happened months and months ago. That doesn't mean that you still shouldn't do something now if you feel like you're behind the 8 ball. Like, today is the closest time that those two lines, in the either ideal future or you're going towards your nightmare, today is the closest that the gap will ever be. So it doesn't mean that you should just shut down and do nothing about it. You know, even if you are fully booked up until Christmas, those people who have booked and who have shown you that they're loyal clients to your business, might be worth contacting those and just trying to book them in for January and letting them know in advance that it's going to be busy. Because I actually don't think January is the problem. I think it's February is the problem, especially in Australia because of Australia Day. I think people are still kind of in that Christmas, New Year kind of mindset up until after Australia Day. And then there's a dip, a big dip for most barbershops. When we were working in the barbershop, that's when the dips used to happen the most, I think. February, March, when all of the spending through that Christmas period and up to Australia Day was exerted, people's bank accounts were empty. So they said, oh, well, don't really need a haircut right now.
And that's why it's so important to get great clients, right? Dream clients. Like, this is hard, right? Because it gets a bit moralistic and ethical, but like, do you want to be cutting those types of people who can't afford you in Feb? Like,
no.
Or would you rather someone who's thought about it very well about why they have a haircut, what it serves in their life, the function of it, and the affordability of it, and they've just factored it into their budget, their life budget? Like, I want those people. And so I think that's so important to be attracting those types of people. People that are a bit more savvy. Because, like, again, like, this is so many layers, Dave. I don't want to take it down a rabbit hole, so I want to stay tactical. But, like, you know, you are the average of the people that you spend your time around. And if you're spending time around a dude that can't afford a haircut in February, like, how long is that going to last? You know, it's like that girl, Cody Sanchez. I talk about it a lot in our classes, but she's an investor in small business, right? And you know, they might be worth a few million each, but she's got a mentor who's a billionaire. And he pulled her aside one day and she was talking about, oh, is this going to be an issue? Is this going to be an issue? And he said, I think small business is keeping you small. And she was like, what do you mean? I got this multi-million-dollar portfolio and I'm making money. It was like, yeah, I know, but you're spending time with people that's the ceiling of their thoughts, is dealing with X amount of millions of dollars. Now, to the average Joe, that sounds like a lot of money, but to a billionaire, it's pocket change, right? And so it's the same with clients. Just be careful, and that's why we're so big on like curating and building your dream clientele. Because yeah, if you're hanging out with a bunch of dudes that can't afford $50 or anywhere between $50 and $100 in Feb, it's like, okay, do we need to get some new dudes? You know, like maybe. And that's because they're out there. They're out there.
And if people want access to the workshop that was either today or yesterday, just reach out and ask for it, and you'll get the really tactical, like, 1-step, 2-step, 3-step process, because it is 3 big mistakes. But we'll go quite broad with it today, and we won't put them in order, so that there's just a distinct difference between listening to this and getting the recording of the first 30 minutes of the workshop. To speak to what you're saying there, Leigh, predictability. You know, I think what makes any business valuable is its predictability. And this is a great time of year to be able to predict your future. You have a massive opportunity to not only predict your future, but you can predict all of your content for the future as well. If all of your clients are coming through the shop, start thinking about a content strategy for yourself as to like how you're going to keep your content going throughout this time, but also how you're going to capture content for the future. Again, just because 2024 is coming to an end, don't write it off. Like, your life is a continuum. It doesn't just go in these cycles where like you turn the page in 2025 and all of a sudden you're a new person. It's like, it doesn't really work like that, you know? And if we're to look at the business year in Australia, it goes from July to July. So we're only halfway through the year, really, if you're looking at it from a business perspective. So why are people shutting down now?
Does it make sense to take the foot off the gas halfway through the financial year? Maybe,
No.
maybe not. Depends how well you've run your numbers. And something that came to mind there while you were just saying that is, you know, you can't do predictable business with unpredictable people.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, how can you? Because the common denominator of every business is people. And if you want it to be predictable, you can't do it with unpredictable people.
No, for sure not. So yeah, it's a great time of year and a big opportunity as well to create a lot of content, to keep your content going, show how busy you are, show how busy the shop is, capture the vibe. You know, I speak to a lot of people who say that they slack on marketing because they're already too busy. And I think the point is missed that when you're at that stage, your marketing is no longer for new clients. It's for the current clients that you have, the ones that are sitting in your chair day in, day out. And a lot of the time in the barbershop, the clients that come regularly are mistaken for the furniture. This is something that came up during the 3-day courses recently. It's like, it's very easy to think that they're just part of the furniture and forget that they're humans and they're observing everything. And it's very easy to forget that some of those people follow us on social media as well. You know, I think the barbering world, you know, we've spoken about this in plenty of podcasts before, but in the barbering world, it's very easy to get caught up in making content that other barbers like and buy into, when the clients are just kind of sitting on the sidelines thinking like, what's going on here? So this is a great time of year to really build a solid culture within the shop, show people how busy you guys are, bring them on a journey, show them your story. You know, everyone's the star of their own movie, but you also have to be the director of your own movie, and you also have to be the cameraman, and you also have to be all these other things until you have a team of people that can do that for you. Now, for some people that might never happen, but you know, your marketing efforts now throughout like November, December are going to help you tremendously when it comes into 2025 and kicking on and making it the biggest year that you want it to be for yourself. Because, you know, you hear it every year, don't you? New year, new me. We've said this at the start. Everyone wants more out of their life as they move into the next chapter, the next year of their lives. I've never ever heard somebody once say, I want less next year than what I have this year. Mm-hmm. And sometimes less is more, you know? Like, that's the other side of things. Right now, I kind of want a little bit less, but just higher quality things. I still want more money, still want more freedom, and I still want to make more impact, like, in the world. But I want to focus more narrowly on something which is going to give me less things to, like, be concerned about or worry about. But that starts now. It's November. We still have a week or 10 days left in November. Get your Christmas dialed in. Get January dialed in. And put a game plan in place. Put a game plan in place for 2025. And let's continue this swell. The swell that happens over Christmas and New Year. Why not make that a thing that happens every week? Like, if you only have 40 appointments per week or 50 appointments per week as a barber, why are they not full every week? And why are they only full over Christmas? And then use Christmas as a test period as to, like, why can we not do that every week? And what would we need to do to make that happen every week?
That's the bigger question, isn't it?
Yeah, what would we need to do? Who would you need to be in order to make that happen every week? Because for us, when we were in the barbershop, every week was Christmas week. It didn't matter what week of the year it was, we were full. And that was a result of a couple of things. That was a result of pulling the levers. That was a result of not making those big 3 mistakes that people make over Christmas. And being proactive, not reactive. Mm-hmm. You know, over this period of time, just because you have a big month and you do big numbers doesn't mean you're running a good business. Everybody gets a haircut at this time of year. Yeah. It's not impressive. You know, you don't have to convince people to buy your products. Like, you know, at Christmas time when, you know, a certain product in a toy store or something like that does really well and everyone's buying like the PlayStation or something like that. That's a result of PlayStation doing incredible marketing for many, many months on the lead up to Christmas.
All year, probably.
Yeah, not everyone just walks in off the street and buys a PlayStation. You know, it's a well thought out thing. with haircuts, that kind of does happen. People just walk in off the street and get them. You know, you changing nothing over this time won't have any real impact on your business, because people just come and get haircuts anyway. But we're not talking about being busy for Christmas. That's going to happen. We're talking about like, how can you sustain that afterwards?
Yeah. And how can you make the most of it? That's what I
maximize it, right?
Maximize it. Yeah, because you're about to see. I just said it earlier on the pod. You're about to see the biggest influx of people you're going to see all year without any effort whatsoever. They're just going to turn up. I bet you didn't have to ask one single person, "Hey, do you want a haircut at Christmas?" Because they're just going to do it. Like they just want the thing. So number one, on just squaring off that point on content, if you're doing 40, 50 haircuts a week and there's 4 years in December, say you're doing 50 haircuts a week, you could be doing 200 haircuts in December. You only need to capture a piece of content on 50% of those. 100 people, every second person, just get one before and after or something. Of 100 people, that's 100 pieces of content. That's nearly 3 months. That's January, February, and March taken care of if you're posting every day.
Covered, sorted. And then you can relax, calm. All right, now how can we build the business? What can we do? What are we going to do? And you might not run with that content, but at least you've got some stuff in the background. And that's just one way of leveraging the biggest influx of people. Then, like we said, make sure you're rebooking them into the new year. Hey, how about 2? Do you want January and February? Do those times work for you? Cool. Not everybody knows their program and calendar, obviously. But if 50% of people do, lock them in. Get them locked in. Think ahead. Be, like you said, I love that you said that. Be the director, be the conductor, be the captain of the ship. Don't let your clients run your business for you. You need to run your business. Yes, they are the ones coming and buying the thing, but you need to tell them when it's available and when it's the best time for them to get it. And if you can encourage that, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Oh man, there's so many rabbit holes that like I could go down right now, but it might bring us off topic too much. But
I'm trying to hold off.
I know. It's like that sometimes. But one of those, just briefly touching on it, is, you know, the importance, I guess, of the content game and keeping up your marketing. Because social media, it's not designed for flex. It's not designed for that. It's designed to be a business tool. It's designed as a communication anchor to talk to your clients, to be there talking, communicating, nurturing, creating a culture around what your barbershop is or what your business is if you're a solo barber to your clients. It's not there for the flex. And that's a big mistake too, you know, big mistake. And to be honest, man, like we don't even utilize it as well as we could. Like we could utilize it way better than what we do currently. And we're working on it. We're getting there, you know. But it's practice. It's a practice, and you don't get good at it overnight. You get good at it by putting the practice in. And this is a great time to put that practice in. But, you know, if you have a solid plan for your business for the year, this should make no difference. If we're working from July to July, this should make no real difference. And one of the dangers around this time of year as well is people not looking after themselves and like burning themselves out before they even get to January. You know, so then that whole new year, new me thing is a lot harder because you don't have energy. You know, time off is just time off, but time off and having energy whilst you have time off is different. And we've had this with clients in the past, you know, like sometimes just an extra day per week or an extra 2 days per week isn't enough for them to actually do what it is that they want to do, because during that day off and during those 2 days off, they don't have enough energy to actually work on the business and grow the business. And this time of year, yes, whilst you might fill your pockets, yes, whilst you might see more clients and make more money, you can also deplete a lot of your energy source And, energy is the name of the game. Without energy, you're not going to be able to do very much, or at least not to a high level of effect. And depending on where you're at in your business journey, sometimes just put your head down, grind it out, serve as many of your clients as possible, help as many people get the haircuts as you can. But just be careful with those boundaries for yourself and for others, because for yourself, you might put yourself into a body bag and you'll start 2025 in a pretty shitty way. You might burn yourself out and you might even get sick. And then who are you going to be able to help? You might want to squeeze all these clients in, but what happens if you're sick? What happens if you're too tired? What happens if you burn out? If you stop, and this goes for most people, but if you stop, the business stops.
Yep, the money stops. The tap turns off.
The tap turns off. The money stops if you stop. So be careful. You use your energy wisely. And this is why, we said this last year on the podcast. Don't bend over backwards for people throughout this time. Do what you can for some, qualify the source. Make a list of your favorite clients. We all have a couple of people that we would do a favor for. Like, don't get me wrong. You don't have to be a dickhead either. Like, just be careful as to like who you do the favors for, and always push for them to rebook at another stage if you can't fit them in. And if you can already see that that's going to happen in the future, just reach out to them in advance. If you have clients that you really like but they're unorganized, just reach out to them in advance. Get them booked in. Be ahead of them, and they'll think, oh my God, this person is like thinking about me. Well, like they're thinking about me. Wow. Like, what a great service that is. Like, when I get reached out to by people to book myself in for things that I've forgotten about, I'm like, great. Don't see it as annoying. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah.
So be careful. Look after your energy.
Yeah, I think in December, it's definitely not a time to take the foot off the gas with the health. Like, it's that whole concept, like we teach our guys. It's like, you want to get good at something, get good at it when you're busy. You want to get good at health, get good at it in December. And I know that the reason I say it is because, like, look, there's going to be parties, and there's going to be maybe a bit more drinking, and there's going to be a bit more crappy food, and there's going to be more hours worked, and there might be a little bit more pressure and a little bit more stress, but that's even more reason why to double down on the health. So let's just use a really quick concept of 4 doctors. You need Dr. Diet, Dr. Quiet, Dr. Movement, and Dr. Happiness. All right, every day. If you get those 4 doctors every day through December, you're probably going to come out the other side pretty good. You take care of your food. So the days that you're not going out for the Christmas do, or, the Christmas lunch with your friends, or whatever it is, right? The days that you're not doing that, just eat well, treat your body like it needs to be treated. So that's your diet. I would recommend moving every day. Just move the body, whether that's weight training, whether that's walking, whether that's running, whatever you want to do, whether it's yoga, move the body every day. And then we're into happiness. So do something that brings you joy every day, whether that's whatever it is. Again, could be a walk, could be reading a book, could be learning something new, could be jumping on a coaching call with us. It could be watching a YouTube, whatever it is. Don't stop that. And then Dr. Quiet, make sure you are regulating, especially in December. It's going to be chaos. December brings chaos energy. And it's so important that you regulate. So whether that's breathwork, meditation, like I was saying, yoga, whatever it is, yoga nidra, make sure that you're doing something to regulate. And you probably come out the other side really good. And again, like Owen just said, the aim of the game is energy. If you pop out the other side in January 4 rolls around, and you're the most energized, I bet you're going to get ahead of the pack. I bet you. Because everyone else, oh, bro, I ate so much. Oh, I've been eating Christmas food since Christmas Day. I've been drinking for a slab every day. All right. Well, energy's the aim of the game. Let's play the game,
Yeah.
And I could go on a rabbit hole about energy, but let's not do that.
Yeah. And sleep, man, like making sure that you're actually sleeping properly. Now, look, that's cheap coming from me because I don't sleep very well. I'm getting better. I've been going to bed at about 9 p.m. and waking up at 5. So that's, 4 or 5. It's good for me. That's an hour over my average per night in recent times, but I'm working on it, you know, day by day, bit by bit. But you know, like to just speak into like our December, to speak into what we're creating in December, it's going to take a lot of our energy. We have a very busy December coming up, and we're going to have to look after our energy. We're going to have to look after our health. We're going to have to look after our sleep. And we're entering into a big season of no. Like I'm going full like ninja mode, like wrap my face up in tea towels, and I'm going full ninja mode. Like you might just see my eyes, you know, for the whole of December, because that's what we're doing. We're building AMP 2.0. We're building the most impactful, biggest impact giving and receiving barber container community in the world. And that takes a little bit of energy, and it takes mental capacity and space. And, you know, I only really notice it when we move around a lot, like when we're moving around a lot. And even when we were in the barbershop, it kind of reminds me of like, so when we were moving around a lot, I should say, it reminds me of when we were in the barbershop, energetic wise. There were some days where we were just drained from movement, you know, and you need that quiet time. You need routine. If you want to do great things in the world, all of this only matters if you want to do great things in the world. Like, if you want to be like every other barber, if you want to get what every other barber gets, that's fine. But if you want to be in the 1%, that's who listens to this podcast anyway. So we're speaking to you. If you want to get what other barbers don't, you have to do what other barbers don't do. And we have a couple of young examples, people who've been coming to the 3-day course they're out there doing it. I'm watching them every day on social media. They're out there doing it. They're looking after their health. They're reading. They're studying. They're doing their work. And man, I spoke to a young guy yesterday in Ireland, and he was just saying, like, I don't want to cut more hair than like 6, 7, 8 haircuts a day. Like, I don't want to work every day. And like, I'm all here for that. But this is a great time of year to train people to know that you have boundaries. You know, it's a great time of year to do it.
If you ask most people, they probably say the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I would. I said it the other day, like, you know, I don't cut hair in a shop anymore, but if I did, you know, 4 haircuts a day would be plenty.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like there's just loads of other stuff to do in life. Now, I get it. The only reason people do 10 to 15 a day, or I've heard people do outrageous numbers a day. And whereas
I spoke to someone else today saying that they do 16 to 24 haircuts a day.
What? Yeah. You really have nothing else to do at that point. You got nothing else to do.
He's hopefully joining us next year.
That'll be great.
So maybe we'll be able to like help him. You've met him.
Yeah.
You've met him. You probably know who it is.
But 16 to 24, wow, like...
It's a lot of haircuts. It's a lot of
haircuts, man. And like, there's just an easier way. There's an easier way.
Yeah. And dare I say it, maybe even a better way, you know? Dare I say it. But you don't know what you don't know until you do, right? Like until you try something else and you realize that there is a different way or a better way, then if it's all you know, if doing that many haircuts a day and being super busy is all you know, then you don't know any different. And you don't know what you don't know until you do know. And we see that all the time with people in AMP. You know, they get down to 3 days, they get down to 2 days, and they come to us and they think that there's something wrong, that the business isn't working. But really, it's just because they've got all their time back and they're not used to having all their time back, which is a fantastic result, and it's what they came for. But it feels different.
Yep. And that's where life kind of really begins.
Yeah, it is where life begins.
You get to choose. You get to choose, because up until that point, like you just said, what you don't know, if you don't know any different, you won't do any different. And what is it? How did you get to know that way of working? Someone told you to do it. someone else taught you that doing 16 to 24 haircuts a day was the way to do it, you probably didn't choose that. If you asked him and said, do you want to do that many? He'd probably be like, hell no. But he probably thinks he has to because that's the way he was told. Now, this is why I love our work and what we do in AMP. We bring people to the point. Let's get your business working to the point where you don't have to do as much anymore. And then you get to choose. You get to choose. Do hair and this and this and this. You don't just have to do hair. So that's fun. That's the fun part. But it's scary for some people. I get it, because once you strip that away, they're like, whoa, who am I now? What do I do now? You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, man. It's an interesting one. But yeah, back to the 3 mistakes people make. So, thinking about 2025 too early, forgetting that 2024 still has time in it, not marketing throughout the month, like not creating content and marketing throughout the month of December because you're too busy, or it's, you don't need to because you don't need clients today. That reactive approach that you have to your business is going to continue unless you become proactive. And that's a very valid point, isn't it? Because if you think about it, like most barbershop businesses operate in a very reactive way. We'll just wait for the clients to come in, and they will come in because that's just what people do when they need haircuts, rather than being proactive and going after the clients, like going on the hunt, rather than just waiting for them to come through the door. And, it's very easy to let go of the hunt or call the hunt off too early at this time of the year, because you just know that people are going to come in anyway. And we spoke about it already, in a slightly different way, but like that really just installs a bad habit as you move into 2025, because what happens when it comes to the week where you're not busy? And if that is part of your habit stack, the likelihood is that it will come to a week where you're not busy. And then you'll have to go on the offensive and start actually hunting. But what if you just hunt all of the time, consistently, throughout all of the months, and let every month become Christmas month? Would that not be a better approach? I think it would.
Word. There's another word to go with it. Gather. Hunter and gather. That's why it's called hunter-gatherer.
Hunt
because
and
they
gather.
hunt. They don't just hunt all day every day. They don't just hunt all day every day because it's exhausting. They hunt and gather. Oh, okay. Let's fill pipeline of food. So really, what I would recommend people is, like, December is a given. People are just going to turn up. But the whole point of hunting in December is you're hunting to gather for January. That's amazing. And to your point about like content as well, being proactive on that. Like if you say you're too busy in December to post, it's just lack of planning. Like, December's coming. We all know December's coming. So start in November of starting to tee up the post, get your content filmed, do batch film. There's a thing called schedule on Instagram. You can schedule a whole week's worth of things go out without you even touching it. Pre-film, batch edit. Do that if that's your excuse, and that can be a habit that carries with you throughout the year. But if that's going to be an excuse in December, it's a choice at this point, because there's so many tools to get you ahead. And if you are making that much money in December and you got the extra cash, pay someone to do it.
Absolutely.
There's always a way. Just pay someone else to do it for you. Yeah. There's always a way. So at this point, it's just a lack of planning in December, essentially. If that's, oh man, I was too busy to post. No, dude, you just didn't plan very well.
100%. Christmas isn't a surprise. People start putting up their Christmas
every
trees. Year. Right after Halloween, they start putting their Christmas trees up. It's not a surprise.
Has Christmas been around your whole life?
But, think about this. Think about the way retail stores promote Christmas. They're doing it very far in advance. People might leave their Christmas presents until the last minute, but clients might also leave their Christmas haircuts until the last minute. And if your best clients can't get a haircut, they might go looking somewhere else. And if they have a better experience somewhere else, you might lose them, and you won't see that until February or March. So what is it that we have to do now to hold on to them? And it's not even to hold on to them. It's just do them a favor. Do them a favor. Like every other business has to nurture their clients.
Do your life a favor.
Yeah, every
100%.
other business has to nurture their clients. Every other business that people just don't walk in off the street and get it have to create a USP, a unique selling point for people to come back and use their business. And if barbershops only operated that way, a couple, the 1%, they'd have the best barbering business in the world. The bar is pretty low. The bar is pretty low in the barber world. Just putting it out there.
And for obvious reasons. Yeah, because blokes just get haircuts, right? And we've been so fortunate. That's the privilege of being a barber, is that people just get haircuts. But it's not going to be as easy for as long, because there are more and more and more barbers joining the industry, and it's making it harder.
And
so yes, people still turn up, but you gotta stand out a bit more.
100%. The swell is happening. There's more and more people joining the industry. A lot of the young people who are joining the industry are better at marketing than most of the people who've been around for a long time. And it's the people who are the best at marketing that always win.
Yes, it is.
And there's almost no arguing that. There's almost no arguing that in all industries. Like, it's the people that are the best at marketing always win. When it comes to, at least when it comes to the financial aspect. Maybe not so much on the impact aspect or the freedom aspect, but if you're to measure a business's results based on stats, finances, it's generally the people who spend the most money marketing and the most time and energy. Because this is the other common misconception, that you have to spend money in order for this to happen. No, you just spend your time, spend your energy, allocate those resources, them resources into your business so that you can grow and become the obvious choice in a marketplace.
Yeah. It's like people online right now, like who's killing it in the marketing space and business. Like, let's think Alex Hormozy, like Dan Martell, those types of people. What's Hormozy making a year? Like, his company makes like 200 mil a year or something. You know how many companies out there make 200 mil a year? There'd be fucking loads of them. You haven't heard of them though, because they don't put the face to a personal brand, and that's the type of marketing, right? So it just shows, even in that world, does Hormozy have the biggest business in the world? No, there's way bigger businesses than his. But why do we know about him? Because he markets. Why does everybody think he's the god of business? Because he just talks about it all the time. There's probably billionaires out there that think he's silly. They'll probably think, who's this dude? Who's this small fish?
Yeah.
But why do we hear about him? Because he markets himself.
Yeah.
Same in hair. It's rarely the best hairdresser that wins. Usually it's the best marketed hairdresser that wins. Totally.
So we have not calling off the hunt too early. Keep marketing. Fill your pipeline in advance.
Early. Now.
So start filling 2025 now. Start preloading 2025. There's one more part to the triangle when we talk about the three big mistakes that people make during this time. But let's keep that one for the workshop. If anyone wants the workshop, just drop us a message saying that you want the workshop, and we'll send that to you. Because there's one other thing that you can do to boost revenue throughout this time. Because, when the sun shines, or what is it? What's that saying? Make hay while the sun shines.
Yeah.
At the same time, like, if the opportunity is there, take the opportunity, But at the same, did you ever hear that thing? You would have heard it, Leigh, of course. But I'm just going to say that for the person listening to this podcast, have you ever heard of the 20-mile march? And I know, Leigh, you've heard of the 20-mile march, but this time of year kind of reminds me of this 20-mile march story. So I'm going to do my best to tell this story about the 20-mile march. So 2 teams set out to go across like the Antarctic or something like that, or across like a desert or something like that, right? They were going from A to B big journey, dangerous. And one team, their goal was, we're going to march every day for 20 miles, no matter what the conditions are, no matter what the weather conditions are. We're just going to go 20 miles every day, stop, recuperate, recover, go again. And the other team, they went hell for leather while the sun was shining. And then when it was really poor conditions, they just camped up and hung out while the conditions were treacherous. Now, as the story goes, you can Google this isn't something that I've made up. As the story goes, apparently the team that marched for 20 miles every single day all got to the destination, not only faster than the other team, but they all got there. The other team didn't even get there. They all died, apparently.
Oh, wow.
So Andy Fenton tells that story at Nissi, and he speaks about it in the context of business. So in the context of business, how can we apply that rule? How can we apply that story? Sometimes it's just about doing consistent actions every day and you'll get to the destination. Meanwhile, looking after your energy, looking after the numbers of the business, looking after your people, having enough energy to actually think, because that happens in the hair industry too. You can give away all of your energy and not have any time to think, or energy to think. Because again, just giving yourself time doesn't necessarily mean anything. Time with low energy doesn't equal effectiveness or proactive work, you know? Like we had loads of time together in Australia when we were there recently, and there was days where we were just both dead mentally. You know, just had no mental capacity for much because we'd just given so much to the courses that we were doing. So treat your business throughout this time like the 20-mile march. Treat your life throughout this time like the 20-mile march. Look after your health. Look after yourself. Set yourself up for the next day, the next 20 miles. And look at every week like the 20-mile march. Every week is 20 miles and you just want to, you know, consistently do actions that are going to bring you great results rather than just sprinting whilst the sun is shining. But at the same time, you know, if people are willing to spend more and it's Christmas and consumer behavior habits have risen, why not capitalize on that as well? You know, we're going into Black Friday as well. Like all of that stuff is happening at the moment, and there's going to be offers going out and people going crazy. Is Black Friday tomorrow? Or is it next week? I don't know. One of the weeks. And it's this week anyway. Black Friday has gone from a day to a fucking month, basically. So who knows how to trust these marketers anymore. So yeah, look after your energy. Look after your health. Look after your marketing. Look after your customers. Make sure that they're locked in, especially your best ones, because you don't want to lose them to other barbers. You don't want them to go cheating on you. What else, Lee? What other advice would you give people in the last few minutes here?
Yeah, like just look at squeezing the juice. You know, make sure you're on your content. Make sure you plan ahead, and look at how and think far ahead as well. Like what you do this December could affect next December. You know, if you do it well, you get this one right, next year could look very different. You could be very calm, cool, calculated, had the best year ever, great revenue year, highest revenue year, higher prices, great clients, great mood, great health, great life. That's what December next year could look like.
And if you want a game plan for all of this, guys, if you want a game plan, just reach out. Literally, you could send us the word game plan and we'll talk to you about how to approach this time of year.
Yep.
We're full-time coaches now, so we're able to help.
What we do best.
We're able to help. It's just a matter of, do you want the help or not? We're here to do it.
Amazing.
So that's it. Guys, if you want the recording to today or yesterday's workshop, I'm speaking about myself in the future.
Future me.
I'm speaking to future me, or am I speaking to future you? I don't know. That's a bit confusing. But if you want the workshop that we did yesterday, the January Jumpstart, The first 30 minutes are going to be going out as a recording for free. Just ask. The full workshop that we do with our clients afterwards is going to be within AMP only, where we actually roll up the sleeves and do the thing. You know, the DIY version, which is covering the 3 big mistakes, is going to be available for everybody. And who knows, it might even be available on YouTube itself. Big year coming up, and I'm looking forward to squeezing the juice out of December too. And, you know, it's a great time of year to start thinking about 2025, you know, to wrap this all up in a bow. Really do start thinking about 2025. Get ahead of the posse. When everybody else zigs, it's probably a good idea to zag.
Yes, it is.
We have been Unlimited. Thank you for listening. Don't be too silly over silly season. And we'll see you on the next episode.